Okay, so I think last class we have discussed about this modular programming. I'll quickly remind about modular programming, then we will see. Because so modular programming means what is the purpose is, as I told in the last class, some projects may contain thousands of lines of instructions or operation code. So we can reduce the size of the modules by dividing into separate modules, humanly comprehensible and manageable level. What is meant by program means? Program means it is composed from several smaller modules. So suppose in the same project or same program, if we have 1000 lines of code, means it will be difficult. So what we are going to do is we are going to divide into some smaller modules. So modules could be developed by separate teams. It may call it as a .obj modules. So that modules are called as object modules. So the modular programming techniques simplify the software development process. As we know that we are developing a software, whatever program we are writing, that may call it as a software actually. So modular programming techniques simplify the software development process. So these are the characteristics of the modules. Okay. What are the characteristics of module is? So each module is independent of the other modules. So we don't have any connection. So each module is independent, not dependent on other modules. So each module has one input and one output, and the modules are smaller in size. And programming a single function for module is a goal. So these are some characteristics of the modules, and these are some advantages. So advantages, as I told in the last class, it is easy to write, test and debug a module. Suppose if we have 1000 lines of code, it will be difficult. So what we are going to do is we are going to divide. So divide means so each and every programmer will write some modules. So it is easy to write, test and debug. Okay, code can be reused. So reusability also we can employ in modular programming. So what is reusability means? Only one time you need to write the code. So that code we can reuse for n number of times. So as I told, so the programmer can divide the task. So whatever task the programmer is having, so 1000 lines of code, it will be divided into either 10 programmer or 5 programmer or 8 programmer. So depends on the programmer availability. So we can divide the larger program into some smaller modules. So that each and every module we can assign to some programmers. So that task will be done by that programmer and they will report to the main programmer. Okay. So these are some advantages, and the drawbacks are modular programming requires extra time and memory. Okay. Memory space, main drawback is it needs additional memory, because same code means it will be stored in contiguous location, but different programmers are writing in different location, it will occupy more space in the memory. These are some drawbacks, and these are some concepts of the modular programming. We will see one by one. Linking, as I told in the last class, what is meant by linker means linker is a program used to join together several object files into one large object file. Okay, we have several object files are available. So what we are going to do here is we are going to divide the several object file into one large object file. That is called as linker concept. Okay, so as I told, linker means it is a program that is used to join together several object files into one large object file. So this is a syntax. Okay, it's link or link ms.obj. So like that we write, and this is actually how we can create and execute a program, the entire diagram. Okay, so as I told, whatever program we are writing, so that program is called as source program. What is meant by source program means the program that is written in either in assembly level language or high level language. So that type of program is called as source program. So the source program does not understand by the system, that is computer does not understand the high level language or assembly level language. So what we need is we need to convert the assembly language or high level language into machine level language. So for that, what we do is we are using some translators, assembler or some translator we are using. Here, I am using here. So this is called as assembler. So assembler or other translator is used for translating your source module into object module. So once it is given to the assembler, so your source module will be converted into object module. So then it will be passed on to the linker. So here, so your object module is given as an input for the linker. So what the linker will do is, so linker, whatever the additional modules that is required for the program, all those files will be linked by the linker. As I told, in case we are writing some C program, assume that we are writing some C program. Suppose if you want to use sqrt function, so what we need to do is we need to link the header file called math.h, hash include math.h. So these kind of linking things will be done by the linker. So not only object module, some other object modules are also linked, and it will be one large object file, as I mentioned here. So it is used to join together several object files into one large object file. Okay, this is called as linker. So linker is a program that is used to join together several object file into one large object file. Then it will be passed on to the loader. Okay, can anybody tell what is the function of loader? I told in the last class itself. What is the function of loader?
Load start.
Yes. So it loads the program from main memory into processor. So for that purpose, we are using a loader. So I will tell the purpose of loader here. So what is meant by loader means, loader is a utility program which takes object code as the input and prepares for execution. Okay. So what it will do is, it will take the object code. Okay, once source code will be converted into object code, it may be available in memory, and the loader, it will take an object code as an input and it will prepare it for execution. Okay, so once we are executing, okay, so you may get an exe file. For example, if you are writing a C program, it will be in .c extension. What is the extension we are using is .c. File name .c. Similarly, if you are using C++ file means file name .cpp. Similarly, Java file means .java. Python means .py. So like that, we have some extensions are there. So once we are running your program, all the files, whatever language you have written the program, so all the files will be executable file. So what is the extension we have is, we have this extension .exe. Once you are executing the program, this executable file, that is .exe file, will be stored in memory. For example, my file name is welcome.java. So once I am executing the program, it will be welcome.exe. So that file will be stored in the memory. So loader, actually it is responsible for initializing the process of execution. So these are the different functions of the loaders. What are the functions of the loader is, it allocates space for the program in the memory. Okay, once you have written the program, first thing you require is, you require space in the memory. So that memory space will be allocated by the loader during the memory allocation. Okay, I hope you have studied some memory allocation function in C, malloc, realloc, calloc. Okay, so malloc means memory allocation, calloc means contiguous memory allocation, then realloc means reallocation. So like that, we have a lot of functions are available. So here, the loader is responsible for allocating the space in the memory. Okay, that is called as memory allocation. Next one is linking. So what is meant by linking means, it resolves the code between the object modules. That is called as linking. Then relocation. So relocation means some address dependent locations in the program, that is address constants must be adjusted according to the allocated space. And loading means, it also places all the machine instructions and the data of the corresponding programs and subroutines into the memory. So these are the different functions of the loaders: allocation, linking, relocation, and loading. Okay. So these are the different types of loader. Okay. As I told, we have a relocating loader is there. What is meant by relocating loader means, suppose when a single subroutine is changed, then all the subroutine needs to be reassembled. This one I have already mentioned in the last class itself. So we have subroutine means it is some small part of the program like procedure. Okay. So in relocating loader, suppose if one subroutine we are changing means entire subroutine needs to be reassembled. That is called as relocating loader. Okay. So for that we use BSS loader. What is meant by BSS loader means binary symbolic subroutine loader. So where we use is we used in IBM 7094 machine. Okay, so that loader is called as relocating loader. So it may contain many procedure segments. The assembler reads one source program and assembles each procedure segment independently. This is about segment combination. So what is the output of the relocating loader is source program. So input is source program and output is object program. This is the output for the relocating loader. So relocating loader output is a object program. So what the assembler will do is it will take the source program as input. This source program may call the some external routines. Okay, this is a segment directive like assembler directive. So we got some segment directives also available. Okay, again it will give information to the assembler. So this is the syntax for segment directive. First we mention the segment name. What is the name of the segment? Followed by segment keyword, then combine type. So these are some of the combine types: public, common, stack, AT, memory. So these are some of the possible combine types. One is a public, second one is common, third one is a stack, fourth one is a AT, and the fifth one is memory. So far, any doubts? Any doubts, Ma, so far?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. So we'll move to the next slide. So next slide is about procedures. Okay. So procedure, as I have already given some introduction about the procedure in the last class. What is meant by procedure means we have the difference between procedure and function is it is similar to the function only. Function means it is mainly useful for doing some task. For example, I want to find the sum of digits, or I want to find addition, or I want to find subtraction. So like that, I can do some operation. Okay. So similarly, procedure also it is similar to function. It will also do some tasks. What is the difference is procedure actually does not return any value, but function return a value. Okay. Function also, suppose we don't want to return any value means we use void return type. Okay, so suppose if we are using return type is void means, so it does not return any value. That is called as void return type. And here procedure, it is not at all returning any value, but simply we use the function called as RET. So RET denotes for return, simply return nothing. That is called as procedures. So as I told, what is meant by procedure means it is a part of a code that can be called from your program in order to make some specific task. Okay. So as like function, so we have a function call. Suppose when we write program by using function, we have a function declaration, we have a function call, then function definition, then return. So like that procedure also, what is meant by procedure means it is a part of a code that can be called from your program in order to make some specific task. Okay. So procedures makes program more structural and easier to understand. Okay, by using procedures, so we can write structural programming as well as it is easy to understand. Okay, that is called as procedure. This is a syntax for procedures. Okay, now this is the syntax for procedure declaration. First, what we do is we mention the name. Okay, this is a actually a name followed by PROC. So PROC means it is a keyword. Okay, and here goes the code of the procedure. Here we write the procedure code, and finally we mention the RET. So RET means it is used to return. Okay, simply function return a value, but procedure does not return any value, but we use simply RET. So RET means it is a return. Then followed by end P. What is meant by end P means it is a end of the procedure. Okay, it is one of the assembler directive. As you know that we have so many assembler directives are available. End P means it is used to indicate the end of the procedure. Similarly, we have end. What is meant by end means it is used to indicate the end of the program. So end means end of the program. End P means end of the procedure. Okay, PROC means it is a procedure name. Similarly, what is RET means it is used to return. Okay, then call. This is actually a call. What is meant by call means it is used to call a procedure. Okay, these are some assembler directives like PROC, end P. Okay, these are assembler directives. These are all instruction. So call and RET. So call means it is a procedure call, and RET means it is used to return some instructions. Return, simply return nothing. It return to the function call where we called the procedure, not function call, procedure. And this is an example. Okay. What we did here is first one we org, origin or originate. So this one we are mentioning the starting address. So starting address, what is the address we have mentioned is we have mentioned 100. 100 means it is a starting address. Then call M1. This one actually it is a procedure called. So when we write like this, so it will come to this location M1. So M1 means it is the name of the procedure, and PROC means it is a assembler directive. Okay. Now we are executing this procedure. So what we did here is simply we are assigning value 5 into BX base register. So whatever the value available, so what is the value here is 5. That 5 is assigned to BX. Okay. Then we are returning. So returning again, it will come to again this location. Then whatever statement after this procedure call, that is whatever instructions available after this procedure call, that will be executed. Again, move AX comma 2. We are moving the value 2 into AX. Okay. Then here it will indicate that end of the program, M1 end P. What it indicates is we are indicating the end of the procedure name M1. Then N, simply here again return. So return means nothing will be written. Then here end. So end means it is a end of the program. Okay. This is how we call a procedure. Okay. So any doubts? So any doubts, Ma? So far, anybody having any doubts?
No, sir.
Okay, all of you clear about the topics?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, I will move to the next topic. Next example. Okay, this is next example. So example 2. Okay, and here, can anybody tell how many times the procedure M2 is called here?
4 times.
4 times. Okay. So what I did here is, first one I have written org 100H. That is your starting address. Then followed by first 2 instructions, we are moving the values. First value 1. That is 1 is moved to AL. Second instruction 2 is moved into BL. Okay, AL value is 1 and BL value is 2. Then I am calling the procedure M2 4 times. Okay, so what I did here is call of M2. So call of M2 means it will come here. Then multiply BL. as we already saw, multiply BL means what it will do is it will multiply AL and BL and it will store the result in AX. Okay. So what is the value of AL is 1. What is the value of BL is 2. So now 1 into 2. So here in AX, what is the value available is 2. Okay. Then again we are calling M2. Again here after multiplying we will return. So return means again it will come here. Then again we got one more call. Again what we are doing is we are calling again M2. Again it will come here. So again it will multiply AL and BL. So already AL we have 2 is available. Now 2 into 2. Now again 4 will be stored in AX. Then return again calling M2. Okay, then 4 into 2. Now what is your AX values? 8. Again we are calling. So now what is the AX value? 16. Okay, now here the final result is 16. Suppose in hexadecimal, if you want to store it, in hexadecimal, so it will be 10. Okay, hexadecimal value for 16 is 10. That will be stored in AX. Okay, finally we are indicating the end of the procedure here, end P. So end P means it is end of the procedure M2, and end means it is an end of the program. Okay, these are the several ways to pass a parameters to the procedure. So 2 examples we saw, and this is the second example. I will repeat one more time what we did. So here first one is an origin org, that is an assembler directive. The starting address, what is the starting address we have given is 100. Then we are moving 2 numbers into registers, 1 into AL and 2 into BL. So what is the value of AL is 1 and what is the value of BL is 2. Then we are calling M2. So when we call M2, it will come here, PROC procedure, then multiplying BL. So when we multiply BL, so AL into BL is multiplied and the result is stored in AX. So what is the value of AX is 2. Again we are calling M2. So again 2 into 2, 4. Again 4 into 2, 8. Again 8 into 2, 16. So finally what is the value of AX is 16. In hexadecimal, what is the value is 10. So finally we should indicate the end of the procedure, and finally we should indicate the end. Okay. Okay, ma. Any doubts? Anybody having doubts?
No, sir.
Okay. So next one. So next we will see about the stacks. Okay. So what is meant by stack? Anybody?
Last in,
Last in,
first
first out.
Yes. Last in,
is
first out.
top operation.
Okay. Last in, first out means the item which is inserted first, that will be deleted first. So stack means it is a last in, first out. The item which is inserted last, that will be deleted first. For example, if I have like this, okay. So initially I am inserting 10, so that will go to the bottom. Then if I am inserting, it will come here 15. Then if I am inserting, it will come here. Next again if I am inserting 20, it will go there. So the stack will grow like this, and this is your TOS. So what is meant by TOS means it is a top of the stack. So what it points is it points 20. Suppose if I am deleting, so the first item, that is last item we are inserting, this will be deleted. Now the TOS points to 16. Again, if I am popping one item, this 16 will be deleted, then the TOS will come here. Again, 15 will be deleted, TOS will come here. So once I am deleting all the elements, the TOS will point to the -1. Okay. This is actually a stack. Okay. So what is the purpose of stack is an area of memory for keeping the temporary data. Okay. Mainly to store the data temporarily, we can use the stack. So the stack is used by 2 instructions. One is a call instruction and the other one is a RET, that is return instructions. So the stack is used by call and return instructions. So we have 2 operations possible in stack. One is a push operation and the other one is a pop operation. So what is push operation means? Push, it stores a 16-bit value in the stack. And a pop means it gets 16-bit value from the stack. This is about push and pop operation. So what is meant by push and pop operation means? Push operation, it will stores the 16-bit value in the stack, and pop operation, it will pops or gets the 16-bit value from the stack. So push and pop instructions are especially useful because we don't have too much registers to operate. In 8086 processor, you know that only we have limited number of registers available, like AX, BX, CX, DX. These many general purpose registers only available. So in that case, these instructions are very much useful. Okay, so it stores the original value of the register in the stack using the push. You can use the register for any purpose, and you can restore the original value of the register from the stack. About example, okay, push and pop. This example, what we will do is we store the value in stack using push and pop. Okay, what I did is first one I'm using the starting address. Starting address is 100 here. Then move AX comma 1 2 3 4. What it will do is, so 1 2 3 4 will be moved into AX. So what is the value of AX is 1 2 3 4. Okay, then again pushing AX. So pushing AX means what it will do is it will push the value, whatever value content available in AX, that will be moved into the top of the stack. So can anybody tell what is the value of AX now? What is the content of AX? What is the
3, 6,
content
7,
of
8.
Yes. No. Here after here, what is the value of AX?
1, 2, 3, 4.
3.
Yes, AX value is 1 2 3 4. So that value I am moving into stack. So now what is the value of top of the stack is 1 2 3 4. Okay. Again, what I did is I am moving 5 6 7 8 into AX. Okay. 5 6 7 8 into AX. Okay, that is I am modifying the AX value. So what is the AX value now is 5 6 7 8. By using that I am modifying. Then I am restoring the original value of AX. So what is the original value of AX here is 1 2 3 4. So that it will be popped by using pop. That is restoring the original value of AX. So then finally we have written end. So return means it will return value return to the main function, main program, and finally end. So end means it is used to indicate the end of the program. This is how we can store the value in the stack by using push and pop. Similarly, I can use the stack for exchanging values. So you know that exchanging exchange. So exchange means whatever content available in AX, that will be moved into BX, and whatever content available in BX, so that will be moved into AX. Simply we are exchanging the values. So again ORG 100, then AX and BX. So AX value is 12 12, BX value is 3434. Now I am storing the value of AX in stack. Here pushing AX. So I am storing the AX value into stack. Again I am storing the BX value into stack. Okay. Then setting AX into original value. Suppose if I am pop AX. Okay. So pop AX means BX, that is setting AX into original value of BX. Okay. Already what is the content available in top of the stack is BX. So that BX will be moved into AX. Okay. I will tell the example. So what we did here is here AX value. What is the value of AX here? Anybody?
1 2 1 2.
Yes, 1 2 1 2. So this is 1 2 1 2. This is your AX value that we are moving into stack. Now top of the stack is 1 2 1 2. Now again, sorry, not top of the stack here. After pushing into AX, okay, this will be stored in stack. Then again pushing BX. What is the value of BX is 3 4 3 4. So 3 4 3 4. What is the this again? Now what is the top of the stack is 3 4 3 4. Okay. Right. So I will write here. So what I did is 1 2 1 2 and again 3 4 3 4. Again here it is 3 4 3 4. Now I am popping AX. So what is meant by popping AX means whatever content available in top of the stack, so that will be stored in AX. Now can anybody tell what is in top of the stack now?
3 4 3
3 4.
4.
3 4 3 4. Okay, that 3 4 3 4 will be moved into AX. Okay, now what is the value of AX is 3 4 3 4. Okay, now again after moving this content will be removed from the stack. Now what is the top of the stack?
1 2 1.
1 2 1 2.
1 2 1 2. Again we are doing popping, pop BX. So what it will do is it will pop this item from the top of the stack and it will be stored in BX. Now what is the value of BX is? Now your BX value is 1
1
2 1
2.
2 1 2. Understand ma this program?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
I will
sir.
repeat. Yes. What we did is we are simply exchanging. Okay, I repeat one more time. First two statements, we are just moving the content 1 2 1 2 into AX and 3 4 3 4 into BX. Then I am pushing. So pushing AX. Pushing AX means whatever content available in AX that will be moved into top of the stack. Okay. So whatever content available in AX that will be moved into top of the stack. Again, I will draw the diagram. So now what will happen is now what will happen is here I got this one and I got 1 2 1 2. This is 1 2 1 2. For the first push operation, it will be moved. What is the value of AX is 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2 will be moved into top of the stack. Now again pushing BX. What is the value of BX is 3 4 3 4. Now 3 4 3 4. Now again what is the top? What is now the top of the stack is 3 4 3 4. Now what I did is I am popping AX. So popping AX means the content available in top of the stack will be removed and it will be stored in this AX. So when we do the pop operation, 3 4 3 4 will be moved into AX. Now what is the value of AX is? It will be 3 4 and 3 4. Again popping BX. Now this value will be removed and now this is your top of the stack. Again I am popping BX. So popping BX means again now what is the value is 1 2 1 2. So that will be stored in BX. So BX equal to 3 4 1 2 1 2. Now return, then finally end. So for the previous one, just we are modifying the value. So what I did here is I'll explain. First moving AX comma 1 2 3 4. Now what is the value of AX is 1 2 3 4. Now pushing AX. Okay. Now pushing AX means what is the value of AX now? What is in top of the stack is 1 2 3 4. Okay. Again what I did is I am moving AX into 5 6 7 8. Okay. Now what is the value of AX is 5 6 7 8. Okay. Move AX comma 5 6 7 8. Now I am restoring the original value. Okay. So already actually I am moving AX into 5 6 7 8. Now pop AX. Now what is in top of the stack? What is in top of the stack, ma?
1 2 3 4.
1 2 3 4. Only one item I got pushed into stack. That is 1 2 3 4. Now I am popping AX. Now popping AX means so in AX, so this value 1 2 3 4 will be stored. So that is I am restoring the original value of AX. So previous statement I have modified the value. I have modified the AX value into 5 6 7 8. But again I am restoring the original value of AX. Okay. This is about stack operations. The two operations we have done here is one is a push operation, second one is a pop operation. Okay. Anybody having doubts, ma, so far?
No, sir.
All of you clear?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Okay. Okay. So we'll move to next slide. Next topic is macros. Okay. I will give some introduction about the macros. So macros are just like procedures, but not really. Okay. So macros exist only until your code is compiled. When we get a macro is only when your code is compiled. Okay. After compilation, all macros are replaced with real instructions. Okay. So all macros are replaced with real instructions. For example, you have studied a C program. Have you tell about that as define? As define. You know about as define? Have you heard as define? Include, you know, as include stdio dot h. Similarly, we have as define is there. Can anybody remember?
Yes, sir.
As define.
Defining the macros.
Yes, as define pi 3.14. We can write like this. So what is the meaning of this instruction is we are defining the pi value into 3.14. Okay. So once you are doing the compilation, after compilation, all the macros are replaced with real instructions. Okay. Here actually I am writing some I am writing some variable. Similarly, you can replace instructions also. Instead of this macro, you replace some instruction. So like that you can write. Okay. So several macros to make coding easier. Okay. The purpose of macros is to reduce the large and complex programs. So we have some large complex programs are there. So by using macros, we can reduce the large and complex programs. This will make the coding much easier. Okay. This is the syntax for macro definition. First we write the name of the macro followed by macro keyword. Then we are writing the parameter, just like a procedure. Procedure, what we did is first we are writing the procedure name followed by PROC. Then we are writing the call and return instruction. So like that, here also we can write name of the macro followed by macro is a keyword, then parameters. So here we are writing instructions inside the macro. Finally, endem. So end means end of the macro. It is again one of the assembler directive. So endem means it is a end of the macro. This is actually the definition for macro. Okay. Definition of macro name save. This is actually macro name is save here, and macro. These are all instructions inside the macro. Push AX, push BX, push CX. Then NDM. Okay. NDM means end of the macro. Similarly, retrieve. So retrieve means again retrieve is the name of the macro and the macro. Then pop CX, pop BX, and pop AX. Then end of the module. This is another name for another definition of macro name retrieve. First one is a save. Save means we are just pushing 3 items onto the top of the stack: AX, BX, and CX. Retrieve means we are retrieving, popping, pop CX, pop BX, and pop AX. This is about ASM file with macros. .asm file with macros will be given there. So macro processor will process. Okay. Then it will be assembled, and assembler and linker will do the operation. Finally, exe file will be generated. This is macros with the parameters. So previously I have written without parameters. This one with the parameters. Copy. Name of the macro is copy macro xy. So here x and y are the parameters. And here pushing AX, These are all instruction. Move ax comma x, move y comma ax, pop ax, then end the module, end the macro. So like that we can write. Okay. So any doubts, Ma, so far? So I'll summarize what are the topics we have discussed. Today we have discussed about 3 topics. One is procedures. Okay, then we saw about the stacks. Then we saw about macros. In 8086, how we are using all those 3. How we are using stack, how we are using procedure, how we are using macros. Everything we have discussed in today's class. Still you have 2 more topics are there. Then we will reach the end of the okay. We'll stop it from here. It's time for quiz. So far any doubts, anybody?